going to do a quick little 1-2 reading on the behind the scenes, child. Hold on 1 second. Got my little water and whatnot. Hold on. Let me crack this right here so he can get in here, because you know how he'll get the hot. She's gonna have to go and take that. She's gonna have to take that other alternative. And then look, they got I'm gonna send you some information that I seen that I'm interested in. Well, I'm gonna leave this crack just a little bit. You know how he does, he get the clowning. Okay, what's up, y'all? Okay. So I'm gonna say this. This is gonna be a quick little 1-2 little quick little reading. Listen, it's Pisces season, but we luckily in Pisces season, we got Saturn in Pisces, the Sun in Pisces. There should be revelations coming left to right. I want to say something, and this is an unpopular opinion because so many people have an opinion on the young lady who supposedly, allegedly got the Uber driver fired because of her weight and his inability to accommodate her or refusal to do so. I'm just at some point, maybe it's just me. First of all, I'm gonna address something here before you even get up in here with the with the bullshit. I got y'all today. Oh, I got y'all today because I have given myself license to be as peanutty brown, crazy, nutter butter crazy. Okay, but I just got a proposition. I don't have a proposition. I have a statement, an analysis, and an observation. Okay. Okay. So boom. Why do we think that that man, that whole, let me, before I even speak on this, let me pull this up. Because I want to know, did the people come out and confirm this? Hold on. Before I speak on it, because I'm just, I be thinking with my thinking cap. But I'm not always going to be, I'm pretty much up there. But I'm not always, hey, baby. I'm going to be the sharpest crayon or coloring pencil in the pack. So let's see here. Was it Uber or was it Lyft? Statement, plus size woman. Before I speak on this, because something just came to me. I was seeing somebody speak on it, and I was just like, I just do not believe in this world that we live in that this wasn't in fact a gimmick, because everything that ensues that followed, I just don't, I cannot make sense that it wasn't gimmick, like a gimmick with the plus size woman getting put out or denied. That's not why we're here today for the reading. I'm just saying, I just refuse to believe that. I believe that it's a whole damn gimmick, and it's to bring attention to a far greater issue. Let's see here. Uh, because technically, the driver would have a lawsuit. Okay, it was Lyft. It was Lyft. Okay, let me see. It was Lyft. It wasn't Uber. I think the last person I heard talk about it called it, because that's a bunch of bullshit. And as a a plus size, finna be former plus size woman. Get into it, y'all. We down 60 now. 60 pounds. Okay. On the driver's statement. Let me see. Let me see what Lyft said. They talking about discrimination. They probably gave the stuff. Lyft unequivocally condemns all forms of discrimination. We believe in a community where everyone is treated with equal respect and mutual kindness. Our community guidelines and terms of service explicitly prohibit harassment or discrimination. And so that's the only thing. And I'm sure they're going to go through the case. They're going to go through all of this, blah, blah, blah. I believe her case is going to be thrown out, but is going to, I guess, the attention and the public seating, because we are in the age of Aquarius, but we're in the season all of this happened. I believe it happened in Capricorn season, or probably happened before then. But it was brought to the collective's attention in Aquarius season, and I believe that the case is going to be thrown out. But let me double check because of ridiculousness. But I just really feel that the whole thing is a gimmick. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Just because something is a gimmick, and it is to seed the collective conscious, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Okay. And just because someone is involved, there are secret organizations, or there may be um, secret societies, doesn't necessarily mean that they're inherently bad. Okay. It does not mean that. It doesn't mean that they're inherently bad. So we have to, nuance is going to be major over the next 100 years, because nuance is the difference between survival and not survival in a advanced society, because nuance is important to intuition. If you don't have nuance, then you can have people who essentially do a Salem witch trial where they all say this person is this, and the public or the collective takes on the burden and responsibility of following what one person says because it's convincing based on the way we've been seated or the way that we have been socialized, to then find out that we assisted or crowd-funded the mistreatment of a innocent. No, no one is truly innocent, but you have to be accountable. The soul, the spirit has to be accountable for how it treats people, and or the retribution of that. Even if you were to go with the theory that I'm this person's karma, the fact that you are playing that role also signs you up to receive the same thing in jest. Like, there's no freebies anywhere. No one just has this, because generally when you see people who are ascended, they're not bloodlusting. And what I mean by bloodlusting, they don't need, there's a great understanding that those who have even been instrumental in causing them harm, I'm not saying that they let people do it. They might be the coldest killer. Let's be for real. Okay? They might be able to take you out this lifetime of several, because to get to that level, you've had to go through a couple of cycles as the good guy and the bad guy. And really, like, your martyrdom wasn't just because you are a nice person. I don't believe in it. Don't call me a nice person. And don't even, I have the ability to be kind. There's nothing about me that says I'm a kind person. I have the ability to be kind. I have sovereignty and command over being cruel or being kind. Let's just go ahead and get that out the way, right? But to try to put that, I don't want that burden on me. And I think people who sign up for that burden, they are not being for real. But that's my opinion, and I would also be judged by that same theory. So that's another thing, another lesson that will be coming up. But I just believe that that case with Judgment, the Four of Cups, the Five of Pentacles that came out in the original shuffle, the Queen of Wands, and the Five of Swords, the case is going to be thrown out. The case is going to be thrown out because essentially it does not when you get down to the basics and even down to how unfair the events were to the actual driver, she would, if we expand her fame and endorsements and things of that nature, she may be held accountable um for some things. Yeah, I'm getting that it's, listen, I'm getting gimmick, I'm getting big time gimmick, I'm getting that the case is thrown out, or Lyft is in some partnerships. I just don't go and take what I'm saying and run with it. I'm just saying, allow your mind, like stretch your mind. Don't allow yourself to be just in tunnel vision and just believe everything that's being said, because I literally just said this weeks ago when I talked about that girl. I said, listen, what you're going to see, she's the hottest thing on the planet. When I said black girl magic, I mean, and look at the young lady who went to Pakistan and how she, listen, there's something about that solar energy. And exactly what I said is happening with her. She's on interviews. She's the hottest thing people want to be associated with. They want to question her. They want to talk about weight, the responsibility that we have as individuals to society. It's coming up in topics of insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. Like, is there onus in your state that you can actually affect change, and does your state render you in a position to where ultimately someone else is going to have to take care of you, that you may not even be able to compensate properly? Okay, is this something we can mitigate? So there's a lot of conversation, and then there's even now going to be conversation about her weight loss and her transformation. I laid that out. I got to find out which video, which live stream I did that, but I literally laid that out, okay? Because that's what a real readers, real psychics do. There's a trail of confirmation, and your readings are able to be confirmed. Like, it's, yes, there's common sense, yes, we can look at the past, but having discernment to know how something's going to move also speaks to intuition, because a lot of us, we do things and we continue to do things that yield the same results, and yet we don't take accountability for it. And I think that's us as we are starting to be exposed, right? I don't want to make this shit a lecture and make this boring and shit or whatever, but I wanted to get back to that point. I just believe it's a gimmick. I could be wrong, but if they do go, it's going to be an out, like, I don't think it would go to court. It would be an out of court settlement of an undisclosed amount, and whatever that amount is, whatever they're saying it is, a positioning it is a part of a package deal that she's already getting residuals for as we speak, because that still, to do that puts you in the public eye and puts so many eyes and hands and opinions on you. So don't think for one moment higher level people don't understand spirituality. Like, I think we get real lost when we have lower tier, individuals on social media who talk about being spiritual, but they like to play in our face, right? Like, those who operate at a much higher level are not top tier sorcerers and wizards, okay? Let's get very much into it, okay? The United States legal system is still based on cosmic law. You could be innocent by definition and still end up being found guilty, because there's a cosmic or karmic law that succeeds, that exceeds this situation, even for the person who's experiencing it consciously. Okay, so I would never tell somebody to go into court, whether they're being sued or they're suing, without having some spiritual backing, without having a prayer plan, without having, no, baby, you better come with your full armor. You better come with your wardrobe. Okay, you better come with your wardrobe. Okay, really get into it. You better cover yourself from head to toe, and your path in front of you and the path behind you. Okay, and side to side, baby. You better look both ways before you cross that street. Kind of deal. Okay, which brings me to this next thing. I'm finna say something. I don't mean no harm because a view is a view, a like is a like, interaction is an interaction. Whether you even like a post, the people who click on a post to expand the post is still interacting. It still goes into the algorithm to count as an interaction, which whether you like my post or not, this is why they'll come up on your page or your feed on YouTube. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, people have their reasons. All right, would I like more support? Absolutely. Who doesn't? But I definitely don't want the wrong support. I don't want support that wants to take from me, that wants to inject support just to then extract more. You know what I'm saying? They want to use a little needle and say, oh, I'm supporting you, bing, and now I'm going to extract you. Now I will do the extracting. So anyhow, I'm going to say this here, and I mean no harm when I say this. There are people like myself in the world. Yeah, we crazy. We crazy. It's the best above. Okay? We are creatives. We truly believe that the world revolves around us, that we are the sun. And there is nothing other than an internal realization that can change that, or maybe a bigger sun that we respect and that is a guide for our growth, whether that's an internal process or an externalized process. I consider myself on an internal process, okay? But let me just say this for people who be gawking and commenting in their own way and being subliminal. Who sits around? Like, think about what I'm finna say. I'm finna break some cold knowledge for you. If somebody was truly suffering, truly, and they were truly having a psychotic episode, and it's a mental health crisis, right? And we all have loved ones, we all have friends, we all have had people who were rendered in a way to where they should not be making decisions for themselves, or they no longer could make decisions for themselves. And if you've ever loved one of those people, somebody laughing at their struggle would actually incend you to a point of rage that defies all sense of common sense, all sense of morality, because especially if you were a caretaker of them and you loved them or you respected them, because you essentially are going through that with them, right? Okay. We recognize that people have ancestors, no matter what people want to say spiritually. We represent that people have entities, and even if you want to say that person has an entity attachment, that entity attachment, that entity is quite fond of them, even if you are able to observe from your perspective how that that entity is detrimental to them. And mind you, you may even have a limited perspective based on the life that you live, especially if you're not well studied. And we know that, and we can see that in this evidence, and the receipts be receipting, even by your own admission and your own actions, right? That you're not as wise as we like to believe. Like, I want to know, when you think about a hero and you think about people who are good and just, not good, not nice, not kind, just, noble, admirable, do you see these people? Wouldn't you think someone who is supposed to be admirable or just, wouldn't you see something wrong? Wouldn't you think something was wrong with them mentally if they went to a mental hospital, for instance, and started laughing at the insane who truly are in another dimension that probably exists, but they're not able to reintegrate themselves into this dimension to complete their work? And instead, due to some sort of attachment or mental incapacity, they are not able to reintegrate into this reality to have command over themselves and complete what they're supposed to do here. If you saw somebody go and watch these people in the throes of their illness and point and laugh at them and make fun of them and make content about it, if you saw people who are supposed to be ascended, supposed to be spiritual, supposed to be all of these things, and they make fun of people who they believe are having spiritual psychosis, right? What type of character do you think that person has? And wouldn't you say that that's evil? Because no matter what they perceive that that person has done to them, if the person that they're talking about is truly what they say they are and why a group of people are laughing, right? Then you've gotten your lick back. So wouldn't you say that someone who makes content that constantly circles around people who they find to be crazy, find to be weird, find to be lacking innovation, find to be in a state where they are without God, find them to be with an entity attachment, wouldn't you say that someone who tunes in to watch the suffering and the nonsense of someone else, wouldn't you look at that person's character, especially if they're being, if they are like sizing that person up, saying, look, they're gonna, no, I'm going to be this way, and while this person is going down, I'm going up. Wouldn't you say that something is deeply inherently wrong with someone who takes pride in watching a person who's supposedly incapacitated and crazy as shit, poor and unable to function, and that person takes issue to even compete with that person? Wouldn't you say the person who's constantly talking about another person, when no, that person who they're talking about does not talk about them? They may respond to something because the person went out of their way to make themselves like, I'm talking about like a bully kind of situation, right? But outside of that, this person doesn't, they too crazy for you to take up space in their head, right? Wouldn't you say that that person who is supposedly sane is probably crazier than the person that they are observing? And let me just say this here, because I'm going to share the crazy. If you watch me and I be in here spewing hot, crazy shit, and you think I'm insane, but you watch me, what is it about my brand that inspires you to level up your brand of crazy? Hmm? What is it about my brand of crazy that inspires you to level up your brand of crazy? Because let me explain something. When I see people who are clearly struggling with weight and they don't care or they've given up and they're eating themselves to death, because I want the opposite result, I do not watch them. I make sure to have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok unrecommended video. I don't want to see it because this is something I'm actively working away from. People who stop smoking, whether it's marijuana, cigarettes, or any other product, even people who are recovering addicts, alcoholics, they don't want to actually smell alcohol, cigarettes, or any products that they have removed from themselves, because now that they've ridded themselves of the toxin. They can smell the toxin, and it's they even have a much more like sensitive, or they're more they are less tolerable of the influence in someone who's never dealt with it. People who have had an enormous amount of weight, i.e., myself included, if it's over 50 pounds, it's an enormous amount of weight to lose. And they've struggled with it. They want to do, especially if they've done it twice. Lightning strikes twice for me, and maybe three times, but really twice. They generally want to make it so that they don't have to go through the harrowing experience of coming out from under that sort of influence again. So they're going to be less tolerable to others who want to have an excuse as to why they eat a certain way, act a certain way, because that person had to go through their own excuses to level them in order to give them the needed energy when their body couldn't give it, to give them the mental fortitude to do what they had to do. Whether they got gastric bypass, whether they are taking a GLP-1, such as Ozempic, Manjaro, Wegovy, Trulicity, and some other host of other types, or they did it cold turkey. Nothing is ever without assistance, even if it's spiritual. They don't want to go backwards, especially if there's cosmetic things that they're going to need to take care of as a result of it that shows their scars and is a reminder of where they've been, right? So when people solve for a thing, even spiritual ailments and illness, and this is, I'm holding myself accountable because I observed it, and I'm saying it right now so that I can mentally detach from that. Once you're working your way out, you don't want to surround yourself with anything that will cause you to backslide into a state that has proven to be for you toxic. And if anything, you don't, just because you have compassion doesn't mean that you want the person to go without consequence. In actuality, the more you've had to work to get out of it, the more you recognize the importance of the consequence for that person, so that they would have the opportunity to have a catalyst to reposition them into the right way to maintain and sustain the things that they need to do. You want that, you actually wouldn't want to make it easy for that person. It's my opinion that when you, there's a way to glaze people, and when you glaze a person in such a way, you could actually be doing a karmic misdeed against them. And when you insulate a person's worst self, you're not actually helping that person. You're insulating and coddling behaviors that are detrimental. And not only are you collecting karma, but you're ensuring that they will never overcome it. You are actually a person that's assisting them. You might as well be a feeder to a person who has an eating disorder. You might as well be an enabler to an alcoholic when it's that way. Okay? And sometimes letting that person sit in isolation and have to actually deal with their own thoughts is what they need to do. The internal process is brutal. So when I have people who are externally motivated, trying to external stuff is a grade before the internal. The internal is the most brutal process. When you're internally going within to ascend. External, you can put on the image, you can say a certain thing, you can give the impression that your life is ascending. But internal means that you are holding yourself accountable, and there are things that happen because you are now made aware. You have more command. So when someone says, "Oh, I don't see the changes," you want that person to regress. Their changes are not about you, dum dum. Their changes are about them. It's always been about them. So your opinion Doesn't matter, especially if you're tuning in. You're tuning in because there's something about that person that signals to you a place where you either want to be, or you want the attention, or you want something that that person has, which is why you're constantly consuming it. Okay. So is it that these people who do this, who make it a point to tune in and are entertained by what they perceive to be someone else's suffering, and they turn around and they become jealous and upset when that person starts to take the flaw that the other people were pointing and laughing at, and that person prospers from that flaw and from accepting it. Who is the more advanced one? Because money is energy. So when you give someone energy, you're talking about them, you're doing readings, you are paying that person in energetic frequency. Some people, I guess, are under the impression that if they talk, baby, you got to realize who you're dealing with. That's why I said about comprehension, and how some people don't learn their lessons from the constant cycles of events. They don't have that ability. So their job is to be a catalyst of karmic proportion, so that everyone that they do it to, they are like a person that helps guide people to their best self, because that person, that's the job. They don't have the settings to come from up under that cycle, right? Of like being a buzzard. So they generally are what the fool, like on the fool's journey, the fool meets them, and this is what is a catalyst for the greatness of that the fool becomes, because they meet them like the scarecrow. But you would think like the scarecrows never let the man down, right? I always told him he was stupid, but he was filled with information. And they only thing they talked about was him and how he was stupid. He was the one talking about information that he found. Literally, if you look at the symbology of the Wiz, Michael Jackson's character, he was pulling the information from inside of him. It was stuffed inside of him. He was pulling it and reciting something that was stuffed inside of him. People who were not in his position were running around. Some of you can win. You can't get out. You can't get out of the game. You can win. Okay, like, right? But he was pulling it from within himself. And they, on a daily basis, focused their energy, everything they had to say, their conversation never extended past their observation of certain individual or this individual, right? And come to find out, the most valuable person was the person that they were making fun of, who they were calling crazy and stupid and didn't know. Lo and behold, right? It's crazy how that works, right? So it just seems to me that it's a case study of real time cognitive dissonance. And you and me, we have to decide, am I a scarecrow? Now listen here, I love the crows now. But I'm talking about the energy that was portrayed. Am I that? Or would I rather be the scarecrow, or would I rather be the crows that were laughing, who are respectfully, crows are super intelligent, and crows really don't do shit like that anyway. So it's just a matter of, for the story's sake and building upon it, because crows are actually very helpful and very concerned if they see people mistreated. They actually will tell each other that, like, the individuals I'm talking about, the crows would definitely peck their eyes out, because they would register their frequency as something that was diabolical and evil, just on frequency alone. Okay? So I'm saying this for those who are content creators and you're worried about if something is weird or if you should do something because somebody's playing with you or messing with you, or if you should invest or collaborate with a person who you deem to not have a lot of backing and all of these things. That's okay for you to be cautious. But for you to internalize that and that stop your progress is ridiculous, because that person is going through such a grand initiation that on the other side of it, they will stand tall. And if you find yourself observing, feeling sorry, or feeling like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, but you're not actually involved in it, which you don't have to be, and you shouldn't feel the need to be, I would suggest that you look at it from a perspective of bravery, and look at it from a perspective of, I want to be so dedicated in my craft that even when no one's clapping for me, I am clapping, screaming, and doing cartwheels. And I'm sharing and I'm fabulous. Because if you can't do it for yourself, then you cannot absolutely command it from other people. Okay? Your conversation, listen, conversation rules the nation. Think about this. I want you to look that up. Conversation rules the nation. So if your conversation is always speaking about someone else who clearly has your full undivided attention, then by evidence, even if you use code words, even if you try to misgender that person, give them a misnomer, give them a another like a keyword that you and your other loser friends do this shit with, right? They rule you. And the thing that you might be the most fearful of when you are orientated this way is the moment that they realize that they had the light on the whole time. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to hold my people who watch my channel accountable. Be real careful talking about how nonsensical and crazy someone is when you literally had your life. I'm pouring some water. You've literally had your life enhanced psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, ethically, mentally, scholastically, with labeling a person a certain way. When you have been imprinted on in beneficial ways that you cannot even count. Because essentially, if that person has been central in the building blocks of you, then you have a problem. Because what you're doing is you're saying that you are, in fact, the same thing, and not in a good way. You make vain the advancements that you have as a result of that person imprinting and or having influence. And just because you don't like them, you don't get to choose who influences you if you expose yourself to them. Your personal feelings about them, just like I can't choose who resonates with me, you can't choose with the fact that you resonate unless you just ignore it and stop integrating with, stop, not integrating, that's not the right word, interacting. As long as you're interacting with that content, that energy, then you're saying yes. Okay? You're saying yes. Onija is out here giving everyone life. So when people say, oh, I hope that she doesn't get harmed, instead of saying, I want her to go all the way, I want this to be an opportunity for her to grow, for her to heal, and for her to make her bag. when you do that, the fantasies in our heads to travel the world and be accepted by different cultures and experience other cultures become closer to us than when we sit back judging, pointing the finger, and laughing at people and wanting their downfall. By activity, you cannot say that that person, and I just want you to, for those who this is, I'm speaking to a certain energy, so I'm not accusing my people. So I need to change my tone. So I'm going to correct myself here with that because that's not fair to you. For those who do that or have done that to you, they slap themselves in the face because nothing about this free app has made you be here. You made that decision on your own. You had to go through a couple of steps to subscribe or to check on a video and to watch it to see when a person was live. That means that you gave expressed consent. So if this person is offering something, nobody's forcing you to buy a goddamn thing. No one's asking you to be their girlfriend or boyfriend. No one's calling, your body's calling, your body's calling. That's you projecting out something that's going, an internal desire that's within you. Or that's them projecting an internal desire that's within them. So just know that, right? Because I promise they can't pull up a transcript, nor can they pull up a sequence of events, because I can pull up sequence of events even if I don't have a transcript, child. And I turn a sequence of events into a receipt that's viable. You study a motherfucker long enough, right? And some of these people be studying the things that they hate so much that if they could pull a receipt up, they would, and they can't. Because it ain't none, because they ain't what they say they are, or what this other person is, or you're not what they say you are, because they can't pull up a viable receipt other than a projection. Okay, they can't even pull up a idiosyncrasy that leads to the behavior that they're projecting onto you being a realistic thing. Okay, they're essentially dumping the shit that is them, or attempting to do that onto you in order to absorb or to suppress your growth, because that is something that they fear. Again, you are the leader in their lives by decree of their own actions. So act accordingly. Okay? Act accordingly. Because I just noticed, I'm just like, you know what kind of balls I got on myself, or what kind of sense of self I must have to treat YouTube like it's my diary and my sketchbook, having complete and whole dialogues and acting where other people take this shit so serious that it's a job, and and I'm so blessed that I have the options. You know, like, come on now. That's a level of self actualization that means I actually dig and approve of myself. And a lot of us, the most common thing is that most people don't approve of themselves. So they try to convince you to not, that they don't like their approval. Like, what can I do with someone who has no accomplishments of noteworthy success, and they buy their likes, and they dress up? What, in what way could their criticisms benefit me? Not because they're stationed in life, but because of their destination in life. Why would that be a thing? So if I know that, then it could be said here that it's an attempt to come against your growth and to give the illusion that something's off with you. That's crazy. Like, who would do something like that? Person is if the person is rendered incapacitated mentally, then what's it to you? They can stand on top of their head. Okay, eventually the authorities are going to do something about it. Okay, what is it to you? What is, and then why is it always a comparison? Like, wow, this person is this, like, who, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just gonna speak from this. I'm hopefully leaving, making an example for those who share my thought form or way I think. I do not want to be surrounded with losers because I'm concerned with winning. I want to be surrounded and compare myself to winners and my and not even compare myself, but I want to exceed my own limitations so that when I start to look around the landscape, I'm looking around the landscape at people I respect, and I'm not looking around the landscape of me being greater because I respect them. No, I've actually earned the right to be here. And I'm very thankful of the examples that were given to me. I'm not concerning myself with people who are losing because that is already sad enough. I only want to look forward or up. I don't want to look down. That's how you fall down the mountain. That's how you slip, by looking everywhere but where you're trying to go. If you're trying to avoid hitting something, it's better to drive straight than looking at the thing you're trying to avoid hitting, because you inadvertently will steer your car to the thing you're trying to avoid hitting, versus if you're concerning yourself with the direction of where the car is going, where you want the car to go, and you stay on that, you will keep yourself from hydroplaning and going out of control. And instead take back control. You can even accelerate because you are focused on where you're going. You're not finna crash out by looking at something else that you don't want to be. Okay? This is the reason why this should be the result of crashing out and fucking around and finding out that's not what you want. And you go in the next level. Okay? So I just wanted to share that because I've been seeing that other people were also experiencing this, and I know that I made the mistake of addressing the people who do that with me instead of addressing the people who are the most important, and that's the people who need understanding of how to navigate situations like that as they're on their path or confirmation that they're doing the right thing. You're the most important. So if I'm going to apologize about anything, it's going to be in wording my things as though I was speaking to you, who you have earned the right to be congratulated, and you don't deserve that. So I'm going to say that right there. That I just think that that is wild. Like, your conversation is never about anything other than, like, I don't want to be responsible. Like, I don't need people to make me their divine counterpart in order for them to ascend. Just don't play with me. Don't be a barrier to me, because that means that it's a waste. It's a waste two ways. You're not on your divine ascension, and you're trying to stop me, which you're not, because it's my job to overcome it. But that's a waste because essentially, if you were successful, two people are failures, me and you. So it's a waste. If you win, it's a loss. It's a true loss, because that's not the goal. So I wouldn't want anyone who, if they didn't choose me in a romantic relationship, that's toxic as hell. I'm glad that person. If I ever felt that way, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. If I've ever given that impression at all, that person did not need to choose me at all. If you are in this, if you harbor an idea that a person is not going to ascend because they won't put their penis inside of you, or they won't sit on top of your penis, and so therefore the gates of heaven are going to be closed to them, you got more problems than you are concerned with, and that is concerning, and I don't want any parts of it. Whoo, my God. You mean to tell me that the Most High designated you to sexually, like you need to get off. Just say you horny. Okay, just say that. Just I would rather you say I'm horny than to go and concoct this. You're not getting into heaven and ascending because you won't give me no nookie. You won't be my man. You won't be my woman. You are out of your goddamn mind. And you need to be taken off the street. Police! Okay? You need to be taken, okay? You need to go to jail that way. Okay? SWAT! Okay? You need, that shit is wild to me. And that person, for the love of God, should block you in every way from touching down with them, because I promise you, you are insane. Because who wants people who don't want them? And why would the Most High assign anybody that's meant to be with you and you are meant to be with to then turn around and reject you? No. SWAT! Police! Okay? That's where we at with it. Right here, you want this? Okay. That's where we at with it. Okay? So I'm just, I'm gonna do a quick little 1-2 reading on this. But I just was like, we cannot, like, I know that the Age of Aquarius can bring in cults, but it's not cults. It can be secret organizations, secret groups. Right? And maybe some people say, well, that could be a secret organization that's doing that weird stuff. They're picking on people. They're doing group stalking and stuff. But it's by people who don't have the strongest IQs. So that means that they are pawns to a larger entity. And so I'm not angry with the pawns. They're just a vessel. I'm becoming aware of the other entity that is causing them the obsession to focus in on me or for other people. I want you to understand your fight is not with flesh. That is a distraction. That right there in itself, when you believe that the person is responsible as opposed to the entity, that's what's going to get you hung up. The same thing if I wasn't possessed by something, even in my wrongest state, it's something that's stirring up in me. It ain't me. So to pour yourself into me, to threaten, like I even observed today somebody saying, you got to be careful what you say online because this could get you killed. If that's what, everything that's meant to happen is going to happen. But who appointed you and your fear-based tactics? This mean, what is wrong with you? Why you need this person to be scared of you so bad? Why are you so weak like that? And some of the weakest people can do some of the most devastating magic. Don't get it twisted. You may go in and say, this person weak, baby. Jealousy, envy, anger is some of the most devastating work. So don't allow naivete and egoic naivete to set you off. You don't argue with that person. You believe them when they say that, and you act accordingly, and you protect yourself accordingly. But I just don't, it's not up to you or me to try to talk a person out. No. That person's been doing this shit for lifetimes. They died their last lifetime fucking with people. Just make sure you don't get entrapped in that. And I had to learn that lesson myself. So as I'm saying this, understand I'm not perfecting it. I'm just as much saying it to myself. This is wild. Because I know I'm saying some things that are crazy. And they are all tech-fi, like sci-fi, but tech-fi. They're all creative productions. But I'm actually putting a production and I'm using, as crazy it is, I'm the creative. You see what I'm saying? I have the confidence. I'm talking about ideas. These people are talking about people. Small minds talk about people. Genius minds talk about concept ideas. solutions and problems and how to solve those problems. Even if they reference activities from people who attribute to a problem, it's not about that one person. It's about the way that let's solve for it. Okay? So I'm just going to tell you this right now. The crazier you are, the more you need to do it. The crazier, the wilder the dream is, the more realistic it is for you. And I'm here to tell you with Saturn and Pisces, you would actually be crazy to not be your most creative self. People remember those who inspire them, and especially if that person inspired a great work in them that delivered them, confirmed them. No one remembers the person who makes them feel less than and picks on them. That person just is a means to an end to that person's story of greatness. That person doesn't even have a face. They are merely an event. You see what I'm saying? So are you a force, or are you merely a series of events of someone else becoming a force of nature? It's just something to think about. Okay, on this Saturn day. Shout out to all of those born on Saturn day. And much love to the Divine Mother. Big body. Bina, the Divine Feminine of Understanding. Represented by, in the Kabbalah, Tree of Life. As the top three divinities. The feminine input of God. Bina, or Saturn. Okay? So it's just something to consider. Let your flaws be your breakthrough in your superpower. And never, ever waste time desiring and bloodlusting for someone else's loss. You got too much to gain. You won't even remember that person. It'll be an afterthought. Or those people. Okay? So let's go Aries through Pisces. And I'm going to start with Pisces. Happy birthday, Pisces. Happy birthday. We got the Queen of Pentacles for Pisces. I know that's right. The Queen of Pentacles is naturally associated with the last 10 to 15 degrees of Sagittarius and the first 15 to 20 degrees of Capricorn. Okay, so you could have placements in this, but this is showing just a regalness in terms of what you are not tapping into. You have a source of energy. Now remember, Pisces, Capricorn is the sea goat. So they ascended mountains under the ocean before they got to the top of ground, and then ascended those mountains as well. So whatever task is in front of you, Pisces, that same determination to reach your higher self is available to you, even if you are not aware of it. These are the blind spots, things that you may not see. So no matter where you may find yourself, the Queen of Pentacles here is rich. But she's rich not as a symbol of just her own growth, but as a testament to the abundance of her kingdom and the fertility of the world in which she commands her authority. So this is very much for you, Pisces, okay? In your season, especially with Saturn in your sign, along with Neptune and along now with the Sun. Okay, the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius is actually ruled by the Sun or Leo. So if you have Leo placements, this is especially poignant, especially if you have Sagittarius or Capricorn placements. Congratulations. Tap in to that sea goat in you, okay? Because that is the stability in your buoyancy, okay? It is the beginnings of your legend, if you will. And it is completely reflective of the genius and the signposts that you are for other people. So if you are something for other people, you have to know that you have it within you to be that for yourself, okay? So I just wanted to say that there, okay? Aries. Now we do have Aries here with the Five of Pentacles. Now this is some tea behind the scenes, some things that you may not know, okay? Aries, continue to go ahead and keep your head down and work until you come up, okay? Some people just cannot come in. They cannot be involved in your project, okay? You're learning this. I know that you may be tempted to externalize because you are fire energy, and you may have people who are trying you, saying, oh, well, I don't see this from you, I don't see that from you, and you may want to show off. But I'm just going to tell you right now, you know that this is a brand new baby, okay? And ultimately people want to see what you have because they got their hands out. They want to come into your sanctuary, Aries, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, with their intentions, they shall not pass the threshold. And they should not, because whatever it is that you're working on, that you're keeping those outside of you away from, is so important. It's so important that these people have went into poverty trying to clock what you got going on. I kid you not, baby. I will bullshit you not. These people have went into financial ruin trying to clock what you got going on. Can you believe that? How when Saturn comes to your sign, you really are not going to be very impatient with this kind of influence. You're going to be like, bitch, I don't have time. Are you fucking serious? I don't have time. I have relationships to manage. Fuck being worried about the money. Where's my power? Because as long as I have power and influence, I can gather the money. It's going to piss you off that people even think that they, like the audacity that someone is that entitled to your energy, that you can't build in your workshop. You're in your workshop mastering. These people are outside of a cathedral. You're inside the cathedral with your faith on the, your faith is not on the line. You're being led by it. And they outside losing money trying to clock you. Take all the time you need. It's going to be fabulous, whatever it is, okay? Take all the time you need. All right? The only way that this is not you, or the inverted, like the negative stuff, I'm not avoiding negative things. If I see it, I'm going to call it out. But you would have to be the people who are doing this if you're Aries. You would have to be the person that's out here in the cold and projecting that onto someone else as that's their responsibility to fix for you. Or you had a hand in trying to ensure that they would be in that position. But not my collective. I don't, if there are Aries here who that applies to, you're not a part of my collective. So I'm talking to the ones that are part of my collective. And I'm going to tell you that if we had a message here, don't fall for that shit. When Spirit told you to put your head down and go to work, go to work. Because to go and engage with these individuals would put you out in the cold. You're on the precipice of genius. To put your shit out there right now, you would find yourself out in the cold. People are trying to flare you because you have Chiron in your sign, which is the wounded healer. So it's showing you in ways in which maybe the ego expression, the sun is exalted in Aries, is being your ideas about yourself or the limitations about yourself is the only thing being injured by people trying to punk you out or trying to send you out to reveal your hand. You continue to put that steam and that fire behind your work. Okay? Soon your planet will be back in Leo transiting, and we can buy a ticket to the show. And for those of us who could afford it, we're happy to buy a ticket to your show. And the other ones, they're just going to have to be asked out in the cold. Okay? So keep your head down, keep it to yourself, and keep it pushing. Okay? Aries, all right. Taurus, let's get a message for you. Okay, Taurus, we have the 10 of Cups. Okay, we have the 10 of Cups here. This is fantastic. You finally see it. You caught it in time. You looking around at things that you have that are immaterial. And you are thankful for them, or this is a omen to be so. Because one day we all have to part with some things that meant the most to us. But how we do it and the grace that we do it with is determined by how we act in the present. But your Ten of Cups is immaterial. Look at how wealthy you are. And if you're not wealthy like this, this is the signpost. When you can deduce wealth and riches from the intangible, then you have the ability, like an expert fisherman or fisherwoman, to dive into the ocean of Pisces and to use your imaginary matrix or net to reel in with grace the things of your heart's desires, your dreams, and take it from the intangible unto the tangible. This is where your wealth is abundant and starting to blossom. 10 is a number of completion, but also a number of beginnings. So if you've had a series of situations in which you felt like you've had to restart over and over again, was it a restart, or was it something called the universe revving up your energy to show you that you're not a four-cylinder bitch, but instead you are a twin turbo V8 motherfucker, okay? Maybe it wasn't a false start. Maybe the universe was just pressing the gas to show you the power, the horsepower behind your abilities. Okay? So take this time to tap into this new beginning as you reassign the purpose of the endings. Because those endings are seeds, just like fruit. When we eat fruit, we eat it up. There are seeds that we find. That's the end of that particular fruit, but that seed marks the beginning of new fruit. Okay? So find the seeds from that which you have ingested and be brave enough to plant them. Especially you got these John Deere tractors everywhere with Uranus in your sign that are pretty much operating off of magnetic energy that are plowing your fields for you. You better plant them seeds because you got a hell of a harvest coming up. Not only that, I will see the Ten of Cups in this particular deck is that you have multiple hands in spirit, angelic influences that are ensuring that your soil is fertile and watered to satisfaction, not overly watered to drowning, but to the perfect condition to have perennials, annuals, and a consistent influx of material stability, because you're more concerned with the things that actually matter, that are the glue that brings value to the material. The material has no value if you don't have anyone to share it with. You don't have anyone to celebrate it with. So for those of you who are on a crusade for new friends or to reanimate friendships, new tribes, and building family, this is an omen that this is here. And if you're not thinking this way, then get your dumb ass out of Loserville and get on this wave, okay? Period, all right? So that's really what I have for you, Taurus. And I think it's the latter, okay? For some of you on the negative side, like if you're a DJ Academics, you had everything at your fingertips. You had ancestors delivered everything, but you allowed a level of greed and a level of self-hatred manifested outward to hatred on another to be the beginning of your downfall. Taking away another person's dignity to acquire dignity is something you never had to do. And so if you are experiencing losses, understand that it was ordered by your spirit team. And in a greater scheme of things, it was not only ordered by your spirit team, but in hopes that you don't leave this earth with that karma. So they're trying to initiate the retribution now in a grander scale. Okay? So you got to decide where you are, because we could simultaneously be in both places. Okay? But understand that if you're experiencing a hardship, it was initiated, the call came from inside the house, not outside the house. So it's time to tap in. All right? All right. So next up, we got Gemini. I don't know why I gotta say it's sensational. What did I do for you, girl? And I know, and I know, and I know, act the fool for you. Hey, give me this news now. I'm whining, life pretty sweet and get bitter, bitch. A whole jam. I couldn't get it out. It was circling. Okay, I couldn't get it out. I had to get it out. I had to get it out. Anyway, whoo, Gemini the Tower. Just like you got to get it out. The Tower is here. And start to build up your creativity. You finna blow up. Baby, listen, whoever's been in the ivory tower, they've been evicted, bitch. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you like this. They've been evicted. Uranus is moving in. You are about to blow up. Okay? I hope you're not in the ivory tower looking down on somebody else. But whoever was in that ivory tower, not informing the people, not serving the people, not that you needed them to be a certain way, but they needed you to be under the rubble. Well, bitch, they're going to find themselves under the rubble. And you're going to find yourself on a crazy rebuilding project because you got the Uranus coming in. And we got the Tower card right here. Not only that, if you are a Gemini rising, that means that you have Leo in the third and the fourth house, or you can be late degrees Taurus rising. Yeah. So if that is the case, you have things in your environment and in your home that are being reformatted, honey. Oh, the accoutrement are accoutrement. Let's get into it. Okay. This, whatever, if there's been a force that's been operating a certain way, baby, Uranus is the assassin. Uranus is who did it. Huh? Uranus said, I got you, bro. I got you. I got you. Hold up. I got you. Uranus deals with electricity. Uranus deals with chakma, the knowledge that Vina has the understanding for. They deal with planes. They deal with the trains, okay? They deal with solar power. Okay, universal power. The making of nebulas and the making of like the process of a star dying and becoming a supernova. Now, if you're closer to the 17th degree, be careful with that. Don't let nobody boost your head up because it could, listen, a quick rise could be a quick fall. That's okay. Because that's a sun, that 17 degrees, that's a sun energy. Be well if you are in and around that 17 degree, okay? So take your time with your rise. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Baby, these folks did not expect Uranus to come through. Uranus said, I got something for your anus. I got something for your ass. Gemini, it is about to go to the next level. On a deep, deep level, this is a blockage. If you've been experiencing blockages, we want to see the motherfucking Tower card. You don't want to be going through shit and be scared of the Tower card. You don't want to be going through hell and be scared of the Death card. You don't want to be going through a slow process and not want to see the Tower card. Okay? I just want you to know that if you are not where you know you should be, given the gifts and the mastership that you have, you want to see the death card and the tower card. Now, it's the only way that you don't want to see this is if you was getting fed off of somebody else. Somebody else was paying your way to their detriment. Now, if you are one of those Geminis, then sorry for you. And hasta la vista, bitch. Right? But if you are one who felt held back, oh, baby, this is good. This is Gucci. Okay? There's a changing of the guard. And there's a new king and new queen and a new sheriff in motherfucking town. Baby, and it is shocking. It's electrifying. Woo! It's electrifying. With the little shimmy shimmy. You know what I'm saying? That shit is, ooh, that's good. Okay? All right? These are epiphanies. This is taking off. This is groundbreaking stuff. Like you're bringing a time in. You're breaking barriers. You are doing fantastic things. If you ever had somebody tell you that you got a book, you got a purpose on you to put out, listen, for the next 7 years, if you don't work on that book, that show, that communication, that digital archive, that documentary, if you don't get on your rulership, if you got stelliums in Gemini that are accessible and unkarmic, if they're karmic, and this is a time to work on those, because there's going to be something, an undoing, as a result of not being aware of how to use that Gemini energy that this tower foretells. But if you have this Gemini in areas that you can work with, that you may have been stuck with, ew, oh, the meek shall inherit the earth. Hello? You got wings. Why would something that has wings be afraid of a tower? It sounds like it's a successful mission to me. What is really going on? Why would some... Think about what I'm saying, baby. You have wings. Mercury is a cycle pump. For those who don't know, Mercury is a cycle pump. Okay? And Mercury is known in the mythos to be able to travel to different realms and keep their immortality and not die. Why are you going to be afraid, Gemini stelliums? You'll break through the next 7 years, baby. You better put your productions on. You better put your clothing out there. You better put your books out there. You better do your stuff. This is monumental. This is a breakthrough. I literally heard tower. Like a telephone tower or like a radio tower. Like people like all over the world are like this, like all everyone is the broadcast. The broadcasting is going crazy. Okay? The broadcast and the way in which you blow people out of these false constructs with the truth is phenomenal. Okay? So get command of this. You are 12th house with a luminary, sun, moon, or you're rising. You already seen this coming. So this ain't nothing but confirmation for you. And the reason I'm emphasizing is 12th house and luminary, because you got to go through some character development to get a handle of your 12th house if you don't have a sun or moon there, or have a sign that allows for the sun and moon that's in the same sign to dignify the space. Okay? You got to go through some things. Your tools are not your luminaries. They're not your vision. They're not your eyes. They're the tools. So the tools that are in these places can either be the avenues in which you become undone, right? Or the avenues in which you repair the karma as a result of previous levels of being undone. And for some of you, you may have Gemini placements, and there's an emphasis for you to look at that 12th house, wherever your rising is, no matter what that is. Okay? I'm mentioning that because I have Gemini in the 12th house. So understand that this is a selfish pursuit for me to speak about Gemini in the 12th. Okay? Something's opening up and there's a opportunity to heal, to be healed through your works and actions. And the only thing that gets in your way is you, not somebody blocking you to prevent you from moving forward, not an outside thought, because this stuff is going to become apparent to you, but you're not seeing that value, which means you're relying on a system of evaluation that's coming from a place that's not genuine. So that's the only way I would be concerned about that, Gemini, okay? But it's a big kaboom. I gotta humble myself for a minute because I cussed out a whole astrologer, and I cussed them out. I mean, clean. That motherfucker was hidden though. I was just mad. I was just mad about the situations that they clearly spoke about that hit and prepared. But it is what it is, okay? I told this man, this mant, that they the reason they bad luck. No, to be without that knowledge is bad luck, especially when it's available to you. That's an unlucky bitch. So sorry to that man, okay? Sorry to that mant that I had did that to, okay? Life be lifing, okay? Life be lifing. Period, okay? That's all you're going to get from me because everything else was correct. Anyway, moving on to Cancer. You had it coming, buddy. You had it coming, okay? Now beat it. Scram. Cancer, let's get you a message. And I got to fly through these messages. I got shit to do. I got stuff to do. I don't know why I got the Cancer and got annoyed instantly at my damn self, child. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, Cancer, we got the Ten of Swords. We got the Ten of Swords for you, Cancer. I don't like it. My progressiveness doesn't like it. Or don't you look at, listen, you don't have to become the newscaster about how everybody else got swords in their bag. That's a reminder for you to make sure the right people ain't, you keep the right ace in your back pocket, okay? Because Ten of Swords is Gemini. That is your 12th house if you are a rising. How are you out here operating to where you got people targeting your back? Have you been targeting somebody? Because Mars was in your sign cutting up, and it's still in your sign right now. The thing that I like about this card is that this is, you're done self-sabotaging. I love that because the Ten of Swords is a promise for a new beginning. It is. It's a promise that we understand the ways in which we undo ourselves, the way in which we stab ourselves in the back, even if it's via other people that we associate ourselves with and extend ourselves with. You have to, when you are faced with defeat like this, first of all, if you are defeated in a Ten of Swords and you don't go on to be great, then you wasted a defeat. When you get defeated by a Ten of Swords, it is in preparation for a great rise. It is not something to be ashamed of. But if you get defeated by the Ten of Swords and you keep doing shit that keep you in a Ten of Swords, then it's a waste. It is a waste of rebirth mentally. This is meant to completely destroy a thought process, a mindset that got you in trouble, a mindset that hindered you. And that is a promise for something that is much more successful coming in to replace it. Or you are learning, and this is the Ten of Swords where you're like, you know what? I'm so glad that I stuck to my guns about something because I avoided what Spirit told me. I was obedient. I didn't reach for a relationship that wasn't fulfilling. I didn't go and compete with this person. I didn't go and try to cheat this person out of something. I didn't go and give in to my irrational fears by way of irrational actions. Or I have the defense that is necessary because I know all the ways in which I can be defeated because I've done it to myself, that going forward, I should have the armor of God over me. I know my vulnerabilities now. I know how I've self-inflicted. And once you know your own, when you know how you inflict wounds on yourself, can nobody touch you. It is a superpower. Okay? So at this time with this Ten of Swords, this is not a time to rest in this idea that I'm confused, I can't make a decision. The decision has been made for you. And how you decide to see it, the perspective you see it, is completely up to you. And I say, as a Gemini, and Gemini rules the Ten of Swords, okay? I say that this is an opportunity for you to get past the things that have been self-inflicted psychological woundings, or to give yourself praise for your abstinence in doing things that psychologically wound you. This is an opportunity for you to come into a golden age right ahead of Jupiter transiting your sign. So the worst is over with. The only way that this could continue to perpetuate is if you don't learn the lesson from it and you volunteer yourself as the bullseye by way of your actions and or involvements. But the worst is over with, baby. That's what I got. Okay? Leo, we got the Nine of Swords right behind Cancer. Okay? Pluto. Okay. Okay. I needed to take a moment with that. Okay, it's Pluto. Okay. It's Pluto. Face the motherfucking fear. Fuck it. Two tears in a bucket. Make a show out of the thing that you are afraid of coming to pass. Make it make money for you. Make it the grandest thing. Reassign your fears in such a way that they become badges of honors. If you're going to work hard doing something, let it be noble. Okay? You're worried about something, and the only reason that worry is there is because you're not doing your best, or it's not your greatest expression. So the only thing I would say with Leo, because Pluto is opposite your sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, is that if it's not your greatest expression, get it the fuck out of here. Tell it to beat it. And instead replace it with that which is representation of your armor, representation of your honor. I'm going to pull you another card, Leo. Because that Nine of Swords, that Pluto, I think that it is, yeah, King of Wands. That's your energy right there, King of Wands. I see the kings as the fixed signs. I see the queens as the cardinals. And I see the pages and the knights as the mutable signs. Not because one governs over the other. I don't look at tarot that way. I'm too studied and I'm too in love with tarot to ever diminish any part of it in favor of some grandiosity or some grandiose, idea about myself or other people. With this Ten of Wands, I mean, not Ten of Wands, it could feel like a Ten of Wands too. With this King of Wands right here, this Nine of Swords, whether it is a lesson in how to move forward, unless it is like a preview of what a incorrect behavior could lead to, because you're watching Cancer, or if it is a fear, the fear surrounding your sense of identity. But even in this, we're acknowledging the royal identity. So what you have here is a piece of information that gives you more command to ensure that the way in which you move going forward uplifts the God-given, God-sponsored mission to which you wear this crown that's heavy. The king or queen are the first ones who have to give up their life if they're ever conquered by an opposite or opposing force. Okay? So it is in the understanding of being in this position that should your actions cause your kingdom to lose, that your head before those of your citizens is the first one to be cut off. So I say face it. Stand on your decisions, but also allow yourself to visit the wisdom of how to move forward. Okay? Pull you an additional card with the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Cups. It's just certain types of behaviors that we got to leave behind because Pluto will level it. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. Okay? If we are not leaving behind certain things that are irrational in action and that do not display the wisdom that is attributed to the crown and the throne, that's when the Nine of Swords will bring in the prophecy of the Ten of Swords and the results of Gemini's tower, if you want to look at it that way, okay? Because Nine of Swords belongs to Gemini. So you see how I did that there? There's something that's connecting Leo, Cancer, and Gemini. And Gemini is the reveal of the things that are going on with Cancer and Leo. Okay? So let's look at it like that. There's a ton of time for course correction, and there's a ton of time for you to stand in your role and position and refortify that role with the proper frequency and outlook and thought process that is befitting of such a seat. Okay? So good job. Okay? So let's go to Virgo. Virgo, we have the Queen of Cups. Interesting. The Queen of Cups, you got a front row seat. You and Saturn are doing the dance. Neptune is not doing the thing with you. You're seeing it. You're watching. Your intuition is on point. Trust your intuition. I know the South Node is coming in, but that intuition is strong, okay? That intuition is strong. Do not fight your instincts and know things that you know are true in favor of a false status that is actually disrespecting the position of the Queen of Cups. Okay? Your intuition, the bountifulness, love, you even have the affections and protections of the goddess, okay, of water right now. As an earth sign, that in an earth sign of service, you're quite frankly one of the most important people in the zodiac because you have access to lifeblood or that which can ensure that we all have fresh water to drink, fresh ideals. Okay? So, for my collective, your intuition is on point. Okay? If you're not in this, if you want compassion, you have to be of compassion. If you want people to feel safe, you have to be a safe space. Okay? So if you tend to, especially if you have Cancer placements, if when you feel that your back is up against the ropes, if you tend to lean on emotional manipulation to reassign blame or shame, this will render you in a position of vulnerability that you're not prepared for. And really that action is as a result of fear. So if you know that you are protected, then you would not act, move, talk, post, behave in such a way that you would usurp the sovereignty of someone else by emotionally manipulating them, right? So that's the only way they can move a different way than its intent. All right? Okay, cool. Libra. Libra, I know is happy. South Node is about out of your sign. My people I've been working with Libra, I know that Saturn is right across from you. But for the Libras who really been putting that work in, with the Three of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands, and the Five of Wands, baby, you getting back in the game. That's not your card. It flipped over. I'm not taking it because we're not going to go into a long, drawn-out reading. But you cannot be concerning yourself with people who are competitive. You moving too fast. You too highfalutin. And you've done your service. You've been of service. You now know the reason why we do service in Virgo. And you use service as a way to maintain an ear to the people so that you never get sidetracked again with the Five of Swords, okay? You always have the edge, okay, Libra? So as that South Node is moving out of your sun, and with Saturn coming into Aries, Saturn is exalted in Libra, but Saturn is in his detriment in Aries. Whenever you have a planet that's in exaltation, the opposite sign is the detriment of it. So it is moving into its detriment position. The only way this is a detriment to you is if you're operating out of alignment with fairness and balance. Aside from that, anyone who's coming for you, Five of Swords, the world, baby, you got them dun-da-duns. You got them hands, you got those maneuvers, you got the finesse to ensure that you are able to maintain your legacy through this next 18 months. Not only that, you don't get tired. So it's not a battle of wits. Everybody else is tired. You don't get tired. You don't get tired. Because again, Saturn is exalted in your sign. And so if you are operating in integrity, this across from you is going to give you a leg up so that you're able to maneuver in such a way that you avoid conflict. See, what I wanted everyone to know about that post that I put up, where I put up Matthew, and I said to be as be as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove. In order to be as gentle as a dove, you have to be as wise as a serpent, which means that you operate in such a way. If you guys looked at that clip with Sad Guru, you operate at such a high frequency that you are changing the landscape from a spiritual and an astral plane, so that in your reality, you don't got to fuss and fight. It just happens for you like a smooth operator. It's a whole smooth operation, which Saturn will favor with you. The only way this is a tough time for you is if you are out of integrity. And that should have, those traits should have left with you as the South Node's transit is completing in your sign. Those things that no longer serve you should be leaving out in that South Node. And we should be operating in a much more advanced, innovative, and sophisticated level of existence and beingness. Okay? All right? Much love, Libra. So let's then get to Scorpio. We have the Four of Cups. This is not your card. And that's what the first thing that came to me is like, that's not your position that you play in the tarot. This doesn't belong to you. Test the spirit by the spirit. If someone is coming in to tell you about how somebody else talked about you, if somebody's coming in to tell you rumors about you, then you know exactly who to weed out of your circle. If somebody's coming in to tell you how somebody else cannot be trusted, then you know exactly who not to trust. Okay? Especially if there's no context. Let me add that, because then don't trust me if I don't give you context. If there's no real context to what is being said, and you can decipher that it's jealousy, then you need to get that person the fuck up out of your face. If that person's jealous of somebody else, this is not the time for you to be the homegirl or the homeboy and side with them. I think that you've been through some things, Scorpio, that have shown you that those who take those positions with other people, especially if they do it with you, they will do their big one with you, to betray. Your intuition is A1 right now. Listen to your intuition, even if it means you can't screw that particular person. Even if it means you can't have that relationship. Even if it means you can't take that trip. Even if it means you can't make that business move. Okay? Let your intuition, this is an internal time, and this is where you rule. But someone of lesser awareness, if they come to you acting above their pay grade, swiftly make loss with that idiot. Okay? Because they're coming to inform you on something that I promise you they have not mastered. And if anything, they were probably over there talking about you with the people that they're telling you was talking about you. That's generally how it works. Because if someone's a friend, they're not going to run back and say nothing to you to hurt your heart. And they probably windmilling over there with them bitches, because whenever you regard someone highly and somebody's talking about the person that you regard highly, you might as well be talking about me to my face, bitch. Because this is my friend. And you're unfairly taking issue, you're making fun of them in my face, then you might as well be making fun of me. And now we gotta work it out. As a matter of fact, the Scorpio is probably going to say, why was you out there doing it? And then when I let them know what time it is, they really going to handle up with you, because you fucked with me. And I went to town on you. Legitimately. You can't hold it against somebody if they regard someone who is a Scorpio, this is to the collective, a certain way, and they take up for that person, even if that person that they're taking up for with you consider to be the devil. If they are genuine until they can't be, for whatever reason. I'm not talking about enabling evil behavior. Because people who enable you are not your friends either. They want access to something. I'm talking about they got genuine, hands down support until they see that they cannot support. Or if you see somebody supporting a guilty Scorpio, trust me, that person who's supporting that guilty Scorpio has the same skeletons in their closet. And they're supporting their Scorpio because they know that they might need the same support. And it's a show of that. Because they are guilty of the same things that the Scorpio is being accused of. Because Scorpio doesn't hang around people who are not, no. That's too risque. Okay? So there's that. Okay? But for the most part, even if that person is wrong for genuinely feeling like they need to take up for someone, because of how polarizing Scorpio can be, that is a exercise in a genuine friendship. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But what I am saying is that if we're talking about fake and not fake, what I don't want to see are people who benefited from Scorpio, and now that Scorpio's in trouble. They out here talking about some, oops, my hands is clean. Yeah, they messed up. They messed up, and the whole time you benefited. Because I got more of an issue with you because you were a part of the peanut gallery that enabled the Scorpio or gave them more license to do the thing if we find out that it is inhumane. You being in the peanut gallery made it so. So you are the bigger criminal because you had the most influence over the victims or the predator. You emboldened the predator and you disabled the victims. You, who were surrounding, are far more, much more of I'm more angry with you. Okay? I don't like enablers, clearly. Okay, so I just had to touch on the dark side of things because it obviously is in our social DNA right now. But outside of that, Scorpio, only fuck with the real. Or smooth, get yourself away from it. Okay? And if someone's speaking to you above their pay grade, test the spirit by the spirit. Okay? Okay. Sagittarius, I'm finna smooth go through these next 4 months because I gotta get out here. I gotta get out here. I gotta get up out of here. I gotta get up out of here for tonight. I just do. Sagittarius. We got the sun. I know that's right. My moon just progressed into Sagittarius. Bitch, I'm all kinds of travel. I'm all kinds of traveling. I want to do the shimmy. The sun is here, Sagittarius. Okay? All of your wares, there's going to be people paying attention to the ways in which you have given us nutrients. And you're not even working, having to work. You've already put the work in. Your work is going to be highlighted, and you got residuals and what do they call it? Passive income that's generating as a result of the word of mouth, since your ruler is in Gemini. This is fantastic. I'm so happy for you, Sagittarius. I'm so happy for you, babe. So now put your best foot forward and show the people what you really made of. Show us how to live, how to take being a god or a goddess in stride, take being a vessel of the Most High in stride, and how we continue to feel ourselves from the inside out and pour out, and how we source that which can pour into us. Show us in your leisure. Okay? But this passive income is about to take off. And I love that for you. The only way this is not a good for Sagittarius is if you've been fucking up and you've been very inhumane, unjust, unwise, then it's going to become very apparent with this Sun card. And it's going to be very illuminated in the ways in which you have not been what you say you are. You have not operated through the benevolency of Jupiter. Okay? That's the only way. All right? I'm not going to stay too long on this. Capricorn. Capricorn, we got the Seven of Pentacles. Okay? Them seeds are seeding. Okay? You understand what the process was, what was inhibiting growth. And now that you have the seeds, the energy paired with the knowledge of what was inhibiting growth and what to do to solve for that, then this season of harvest that comes up next shall be your most bountiful one. Because this didn't come up in the fall. This came up before spring. That means you are prepared to make corrections that actually flourish. Okay? That's the only time I'm going to be hooping and hollering about the Seven of Pentacles. But being that Saturn is the ruler of agriculture, and agriculture is our bread and butter and our first currency system, you understand how to better navigate your currency, how to plant seeds, where to plant seeds, and how to Plant them in such a way that your harvest is abundant. Okay? Very good. You've already been through the ailments of 7. Okay? So getting closer to your number of 8. Saturn rules the number 8. The mastery is the next card. I'm going to go ahead and say that ahead of time, that's next. And that's the destination. And you will be in your mastership just by existing. And on top of that, there are people who are studying your mastership and they feel as though you should have an instructional, and it is of immense value in you teaching your way. You know how they say the student finds their teacher? You got a lot of students who have found you. And that's a beautiful thing. I love that for you, Capricorn. Okay? Let's move on. So Aquarius, you ain't got number time and space. With the 2 of Wands, this is awesome. This is Leo energy. It's the opposite energy. You have so much material to work with. The world is in your hands. You got so many ways in which you can go and grow. There's nothing in your way other than you and indecision. You have accomplishments. Your accomplishments are allotting for you a level of freedom. Okay? So don't look back. You know what quality looks like. Let's quell the savior mentality and instead be concerned with being the beacon of light that joins the other beacons. That's actually more important for humanity, that you succeed, because by the example, not you're doing it for the example, even though you can, but just you doing it for you is in such an immense way serving humanity. So the 2 of Wands is here. All right. You've already surpassed the pinnacle. You are trans-Saturnian. The world is in your hands. And you, if there's any test that's happening, is okay, what do you do once you get access to this God nature? How do you move the world with your testimony and with your actions? That would be the major thing that we're seeing, right? But now is at most you're contemplating the next actions that you have, which are the evidence of mastery. Okay? If you're not experiencing this, you've made your life too much about the choices other people are making, to where you have relinquished your own importance to yourself and to the collective by being involved, overly involved in the making and the importance of another person. And there's nothing wrong with supporting people, but to your exhaustion, or the attempt to destroy a person. You're like, the only people that can undo you are you right now. You have Pluto. So if anything, you decide. But the victim story is not what we get to do. You don't get to do that anymore. Those who are in victim mentality with this type of accomplishment start to look very small when they should be giants and beacons of enlightenment. So if you find yourself unable to move past victim mentality, that's okay. There's options to help you overcome this so that you can then step in a position to do justice to the world that's been placed into your hands. Okay? That's my reading. Y'all have a good one. I hope that you enjoyed. This one was very monotone and serious, but that's what it called for. Y'all have a good one.